What's going on, everybody? AJ Capasso here, and I'm here with the host. Go ahead, my friend. Introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? Dylan Robinson, Halfway Paranormal.
Good
We've
stuff.
got us.
How you been? How you been?
Man, just working every day. You know how that goes.
Oh yeah. Oh
What
yeah.
about
Gotta work.
yourself?
Yeah, man. Same shit, different day. You know how it is.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
But so we have an amazing guest today, man. We have an awesome guest. He's a Canadian actor. He's played on multiple different shows, some that are actually on Netflix, which is pretty cool. Um, some little parts on Netflix. He's been doing some amazing work in the paranormal field. He runs Parapost Network, which we are live on right now. He also is the founder of Global Ghost Hunt, which is an event coming up in April. So if you have a paranormal team or are a researcher, make sure to head over to www.globalghosthunt.com and sign up now. But let's move forward. Bryan John Laverty.
Gentlemen, how's it
What's
going?
up,
What's
brother?
up, buddy?
Nothing
Hold on.
much. How you doing?
Good,
Oh,
good.
Oh no, I don't like that.
Oh, yeah. We're keeping you mainstream, baby.
Oh god.
big old flat screen TV right there.
Yeah, I
Yep.
guess. Oh, that's terrible. It's terrible.
But anyway, so go
Yeah.
ahead, Dylan. You started up, brother.
All right, brother. Well, first off, nice to finally meet you, Brian.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Dylan.
I've heard good things about you. I
And
hope
by
I
the way,
hope they're all good.
well, it depends who you're talking to.
Yeah.
No, but I wanted to say welcome to Parapost Network Central.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so
Well, I guess we'll get started here. One question I really wanted to ask you, for first off, is what got you into all of this? Like, I know you're big in a lot of things between acting, paranormal, running the show, the network.
yeah, yeah. Well, I know AJ's heard this story, but I don't, and I know you probably haven't heard this story, Dylan. But it all started probably when I was about 9 or 10 years old, when I discovered I could see spirits. Unfortunately, I can't hear them, or I can't see facial features. So basically, what I see is like a black figure mass. And I've always told people I can't turn it on, I can't turn it off. So when it happens, it happens. But that's really when it started for me. I was about 9 or 10 years old when I started realizing I was seeing things people weren't seeing. So, or other people weren't seeing. And unfortunately, in those days, if you did have that ability, you weren't looked upon very nicely. You were probably put into a home with a white jacket and a couple of pills too.
Yeah, people thought you was crazy.
Yeah, people thought you were crazy, but
Yeah.
so something, in all honesty, it was something I really kept quiet for a very, very long time, and it probably wasn't until about, I would probably say 12, 13 years ago when I started opening up a little bit about it. And then it probably wasn't until the last 4 or 5 years where I really started coming forward with it, because I never even really talked about it on investigations. I was seeing things on investigations, but I wasn't telling people I was seeing things.
Yeah.
Right.
So, when I started Huntophobia, be 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago. No, it was probably 4 years ago. That's when I really, really started opening up about it. Some people knew, but not a lot of people knew about it. So,
Yeah.
so that's when I really started talking about it. And then within the last couple of years, I've just really, really accepted it and really have come out and really talked about it a lot more. I think I had my best experience with it was probably when I went to UK a couple of years ago. That's really when it started. Like, I always find that the North American compared to the Europe is completely different parts, obviously different parts of the world, but different parts when it comes to the paranormal. I find that the paranormal, the energy in the UK is so much different than here in the North America or here in North America.
Is it
So
stronger?
it is
Is it?
stronger because
Yeah.
it's interesting, because as soon as I stepped off the plane in the UK, I could feel it right away. like
Yeah.
an automatic feel. Like soon as I stepped off the plane and went
Yeah.
into the I
Terminal.
guess terminal. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started feeling. But when I started going on to these locations, it was like, wow, like this is completely different from Canada and even the States, because I've been to some places in the States as well. So it's completely different. And I often wonder why. Why is it so different here compared to there? Is it
Yeah.
because of the history? They have more history. I don't know. It's weird, but the energy is a lot different there, and so I've always found that interesting. Even before I went to the UK, you always hear stories, right? You always hear
Yeah.
stories about the UK and how amazing it is when you're looking for the paranormal in the UK. So I got to experience it, and also I got to experience it because I've been there 2 or 3 other times as well. And when I was there, those 2 or 3 other times, I experienced it then as well. But I think because I was going there for a different reason this time, like I was actually going there for paranormal, I was focused on it more compared to when I was like there, like I think it was 20 years ago. I was there
Yeah.
for a
Just
wedding.
visiting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there for a wedding, and so I wasn't really focused on it. But 2 years ago when I was there, I was focused on it because I knew why I was going. And as soon as I got there, it was like bam, it hit me like a truck. So
Wow.
yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, it really started 10 years ago in the paranormal because I went out with local teams. So that's really when it started for me. But I've been around it since I was like 9 or 10 years old.
That's definitely crazy. I mean, I've never heard what you were saying, how it's different in that part of the country than what it is in the States. See, I've never heard that, but now that you mention it, I wonder why that is. Like you said, I wonder why it's stronger in that area instead of it being here.
Well, if you
Yeah.
think about it, the history, or if you think about it, the history behind the place, behind England and everything, it stems from everything. I mean, even coming to America stems from that. So you figure all that fighting they did over there with all the wars back in the days and the kings and queens, all that energy is probably just stagnant right there.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
got to think about it here too. It's interesting, and I don't think I've ever really talked about this, but when I came back from England and I stepped off the plane, it was like I was back to normal.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was like normal. But when I went to the UK, it was like completely different. But
Yeah.
Sure.
I've always found it a little bit interesting on why. I get the history and stuff like that, but let's be honest, American history is
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good too,
Oh,
Absolutely.
So, the Canadian history is not as long. I think it's what 155 years
oh, really?
compared to the
Yeah.
States is what I think States is what 225, 230 somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's 1776 technically, so it's like I mean, that's for the independence when we became America. So if you want to count it from then, but yeah, about that.
Yeah, see. But Canada, like we've had a war here in Canada, the War of 1812, and but nothing compared to the States and nothing compared to Europe and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you guys are always saying sorry. You know what I mean?
Well, I think yeah.
I had to.
Well, no, and it's funny you say that because I was in the army. I was in the
Really?
military. Yeah.
Thanks for your service.
And what I found really interesting, Canadians we're not fighters. We're always considered peacekeepers.
Mm,
And that's what we're known for, peacekeeping.
yeah,
So, yes, we have done the war and stuff like that, but not to the extreme of World War One and World War Two. And yeah, World War One and World War Two, we had people there, but I don't think it's as prominent as the
yeah,
States and the Europe and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
um, but the War of 1812 was pretty big here. Um, so it was the Britons and the Americans, obviously, of the War
Wow.
of 1812. So,
Yeah.
and then obviously Canadians, but we didn't do well there. in the War of 1812.
Hey,
We didn't do well.
couldn't
So
be any worse than Australia. They went up against Emu twice and lost. Okay,
yeah.
so imagine having that as your history. So
Oh, absolutely.
you
Yeah,
know,
we're too busy. We're too worried about peacekeeping and keeping the peace and actually
yeah,
going to war. And I find that that's where Americans and Canadians differ when it comes to wars. That you guys want to get in there and start fighting. We want to go over there and start waving white flags. Not
I
that
mean, I guess that's where we're different, I reckon.
that's not a bad thing. Like
No.
we're trying to keep the peace and trying
yeah,
to, but hey, listen, it is what it is, and what are you gonna do?
exactly.
Right.
So I don't have anything to say about that. So well, I guess I did, but I don't. We can stop
Yeah,
talking about that.
yeah,
How
right.
so,
So what I wanted to ask was, when was it that you started Hunophobia and got into Paraflix?
Homophobia started. I guess it will be 4 years in May. Yeah, it'll be 4 years in May. Wow.
Wow.
It
You're
started
really
around
getting up there.
4 years in May or 3 years. It's going on 4 years, but it really started when COVID hit. I've been hanging out with local groups, local paranormal groups, and then COVID came and nobody was really doing anything. So I decided why not start my own?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And my son was coming out with me. A friend of his was actually doing the filming, and his name was Ace, and then obviously my son Mason. And and then you know what I did? I did the weirdest thing. Where did AJ go?
I don't see him. I don't know where he went.
Okay. So I did a weird thing. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody else do this. Maybe they have. I don't know. But I put an ad in a paper to find somebody to come out with me.
Right.
It wasn't really an ad in the paper. It was an ad on Line. It's called Kijiji, which is here in Canada. It's like Backstage out in the States. Because you guys have Backstage, right? It's called Backstage, I believe. Have you ever heard of it?
Backstage is in the like an advertisement place.
Yeah, it's like an advertisement place where you can put anything on it.
As
So
far as I know, we don't. But I mean, people can correct me if I'm wrong. There may be one. I mean, I've never heard of it. I've heard of like prospectors and stuff like that. But
okay, well, it might not exist anymore, so I don't know. But so it's called Kijiji, and I put an ad, and I got within the first 2 days, I had 50 responses.
oh, wow.
So I thought that was really, really cool. And finally I came to this one person that that answered the ad, and he seemed really interesting, and he had some good stories, and I don't know what it was, but I just felt a connection with him.
Yeah, you got that feeling.
I got that feeling. And so I called him, and or we emailed each other first, and then we got on the phone, and then he started coming out with me. And it was great. It was great. And his name was Antonio, and he was from Denver, Colorado, and
Yeah.
he was here on a work visa, and he had some time to fill. So he figured, why not do something that he really enjoys? And,
Yeah.
but the great thing is, if I ever decide to go out to Colorado, he knows the people at the Stanley Hotel, so he can get us in there.
Oh, that definitely be wicked.
Yeah. So if I ever decide to go out that way, that he said he'll set it up and stuff like that. But yeah, so we started doing that, and unfortunately, he ended up having to move back. So then I started going out with a few more other people that I met through the paranormal field, and that's really how Honophobia started. It was just, I just said, let's begin, and I want to start my own group, and which is what I did. Now, there's nothing glorious with where I got the name from. Like, there's no glorious story to it or anything like that. And I sat down one night because I was trying to figure, okay, am I going to use my own name for the group for when I put up videos? And I go, no, I'm not going to do that because I know some people do that. And so I said, well, let's create a name. And that's how it began. I just created the name. I was thinking hunt because I'm hunting for ghosts or spirits. And then there's a lot of people that have fear, and that's where the phobia came.
Yeah, so you come up with hunterphobia.
So hunt phobia didn't really sound right. So that's when I put the A in the middle of it. And that's how I came up with huntophobia. There's really nothing glamorous to it. It's just I sat down one night and tried to figure out names.
No, but that's still a good name, though. I mean, the fact that you sit there and you thought about it, huntophobia is actually, it's got a catch to it.
Yeah. And it was really cool. But how Paraflix began, I forget who told me. Somebody told me about this possible new streaming service coming out for paranormal, and somebody had reached out to him about it. The owner, Natalie, reached out to a friend of mine because he's from the States. He's from Ohio. And he was putting videos together, and I guess she really liked his stuff. So she reached out to him and said, listen, I'm starting this new platform. And he told me about it. He said, reach out to her. I said, sure. So I reached out to her, and she went over to my YouTube and watched some of my videos and said, yeah, I want you on the platform. And how can we get you on the platform? I said, sure, let's try it. And I did. There's 2.5 seasons up there right now. I got to finish the 3rd season, and then I'll have 2 more seasons that are going up. And that will be strictly UK stuff. That will be all the stuff I did in the UK. But I got 3 more episodes coming out. Bobby Mackey's and the Octagon Hall.
Oh, really? Bobby Mackey's? See, yeah. I was wanting to go there, and I actually heard just recently, me and a buddy was talking about it the other day, that they're shutting it down.
Yeah, you know what? There's so many conflicting reports about that. That apparently they were tearing it down and they were moving on the other side of town, or they were just remodeling it. From what I last heard, they're just remodeling it. They're not actually tearing it down. But they are going to move somewhere else temporarily, but then they're going to come back when the remodel's done, from what I understand.
Right. See, I heard both of those. I heard they was remodeling, and I heard also they was tearing it down.
Yeah. Well, Raymond's probably not going to like it when I say this, but I got my opinions about Bobby Mackey's, and unfortunately they're not good opinions. Yeah, the only thing that was really scary in that place was the code violations with all the wires hanging. So, but you know what? I will say this about Bobby Mackey's: the history of that place.
You can't deny.
You cannot deny the history on that place with the singers that have gone through and the paranormal investigators that have gone through there. They have some incredible history, and I last heard, I think this was a few months ago, Raymond was talking about this. They actually closed Carl's room, so you no longer can go to Carl's apartment, which obviously is one of the biggest features of going there is Carl's apartment. But I'm telling you, dude, like, guys, like, when I walked into there, the first thing I said, and I was with Patty, the first thing I said was, "This is it."
Oh wow!
It was like, really, this is it, and it was like, but again, like, the history of the place was incredible. When we were downstairs in the basement, which, by the way, is separate from the bar, it's not actually attached to the bar. So you can't get in it from the bar. You have to go outside and go around.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so there was one cool thing. You know, the bucking horse, the that you sit on, that because they actually have one in the bar, but there's one downstairs that's old, that's not being used anymore. And apparently, a lot of famous people have sat on that bucking horse, and apparently John Travolta's sat on that bucking horse, and
Wow.
Patty Adams was very happy about that. And so, but other than that, it's yeah. I always say this, and I'm not one to shy away from saying this, but if I were to give that place a scale on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably about a 3.
Oh, really?
It's hey, listen, it's definitely got something there for
Yeah.
sure, but there's no gate to hell there. There's
Yeah.
no gate to hell there. Like we
Right.
actually captured an EVP when we were doing the EVP session downstairs, and Patty, I think it was Patty, who actually said, "Is there a gate to hell here?" And we captured an EVP saying no.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the first time I heard that somebody else has been there and they captured no as well. So now obviously you take that with a grain of salt, because we all know spirits can lie.
Yep.
And you know, but honestly, I was standing in the hole
Yeah.
of that place, and I felt absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now Adam, one of the guys that he wasn't there on this investigation, but a friend of ours, he actually went to Bobby Mackey's. He actually captured an apparition on his camera, and you can actually see the apparition. It was looking around a corner.
Oh, that's cool.
And it looked like
That's pretty cool.
it looked like it was a little girl.
Wow.
Or, yeah, it looked like it was a little girl. So there's something definitely there. Demonic? Absolutely not.
I think it's just a
Absolutely
portal.
not.
I think
Yeah.
it's just a portal where spirits are coming in and out of.
I
Because
don't
if
even.
because if
Yeah.
you're touching a little girl, dude, in one apparition, and then you're talking about these two guys that cut off the head of Johanna, like it's two separate entities. You know what I'm saying? So there's got to be a portal where something's
Yeah.
coming in and out of.
I don't know. I would. It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
It really is. But demonic? Absolutely not. There's absolutely nothing demonic there. And
Right.
you know, and gate to hell. Maybe there is a portal, but gate to hell, I would say absolutely not. Absolutely not. But again, this is my opinion. I went in there for one night. Somebody could go in there the next week and it could be a completely different story.
Yeah, because the atmosphere always changes with spirits. So
Like we definitely captured stuff. Like at one point, have you ever seen that video of Carl?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually standing in that area where that happened. And I actually said, "Is Carl here?" I was talking. This is where Carl was apparently possessed. He was apparently he was possessed in his actual bathroom in the bathtub. That's where it started for him. But downstairs, I actually started talking, and then I turned around and the cat balls were going off on one of the tables, and that was like 25 feet away.
Wow.
And I filmed it. I captured it. But
That's awesome.
I don't know. It's but Octagon Hall. If you ever get the opportunity to go to Octagon Hall, go. Don't even think about it. Just go.
Now, not to sound stupid or nothing, but I've never even heard of Octagon Hall.
Octagon Hall is forget the town it's in, but it's Tennessee, Kentucky.
See, I lived in Tennessee for 2 years, and around Kentucky. But what's the story on it?
The story on Kentucky, the story on Octagon Hall. I was going to say Kentucky Hall, but the story on Octagon Hall, it housed a lot of people from the war. I believe the Federation War. It housed a lot of people, people with injuries, people that were dying, just people from the war. It also was a boarding house at one point for these I guess veterans or people that were fighting the war, whatever. I don't think it was the Federation War. I think it was the Federation War. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Federation War. Apparently they boarded people just off the street from there as well. Apparently there was a I hate to say this, but apparently he's the bad one. It's in the place. He was a pedophile,
Oh, okay.
and so his spirit's only allowed to stay on the second floor.
Yeah.
He was only allowed to stay on the second floor when he was alive, I believe. And but one of the stories of Octagon Hall was there was a family that lived there, and apparently the daughter died. I forget her age. I think she was 9 or 10 or somewhere around there. She died from a spark off the fire that hit her dress, and
Oh my God.
yeah, she basically burned to death. Apparently, she was still alive for a few days until she died, but
Wow.
apparently, she haunts the basement. You
I
can
mean, I
hear her
would.
downstairs. Yeah, so there's a lot of stories to that place, but you got to look it up. I forget what town it's in. Wilder is where Bobby Mackey's is, right?
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
so.
Where is it? Williamstown?
Yeah, it's Wilder. Yeah.
It's Wilder.
I
Octagon
believe.
Hall is, let me just, Octagon Hall is, I forget the town it's in. It's Simpson County, near Franklin. That's where it is. In
All right.
Kentucky. In Kentucky. So have you ever been to Franklin, Kentucky?
I believe I have.
Yeah, that's where Octagon Hall is. Franklin, Kentucky. So I just wanted to see is it the Confederation? Yeah, it was Confederate. It was a refuge for the Confederate soldiers.
All right.
I was right on that. So during the Civil War. So yeah, but that place absolutely incredible. If you ever, hi Nikki, if you ever get a chance to go. Don't even think about it. Just go.
Just go.
There's many great
Hey,
things.
you know what? I'm there. And you know what? It was great. We were there from 4:30 in the afternoon till 9 o'clock the next day.
Wow.
And
Really?
yeah, and it cost us $300
That's
for
not bad
6
at
of
all.
us. Yeah. Bobby Mackey's 5 hours for 600.
Wow.
Big difference. And I'm telling you this much, there's a big difference in paranormal.
Yeah.
Huge difference in paranormal. So, but yeah, definitely a place you want to go. I just realized that I pulled up who recently went there. That Kalani guy went there 8 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's with. I think he's with. Is that Carlos, the fam? I don't know who that is, but anyhow, other than that, yeah, Octagon Hall was great. Anyways, I've talked too much. Go ahead.
No.
I talked way too much.
No.
That's what we're here for.
Minutes. Talked for almost 20 minutes.
That's what we're here for, brother.
Yeah. There you go.
Go ahead, Dill.
Well, all right. Well, I guess we'll get to the other one. Well, actually, I've got a question before that. I'd say your very first, I don't think that's what you mentioned earlier, your very first experience with the actual paranormal.
No, I always tell this story because it's actually a really, really cool story. This is my actual real first experience on being touched. I was 15 years old, and a buddy of mine's grandmother passed away. And about 3 weeks after, I went down to his place to see how he was doing and see everything was okay. Because I was very close with the family and very close to the grandmother, very close to him. And so we went downstairs to his bedroom, and I was sitting on the bed. He was sitting across from me, and all of a sudden I felt what was like a hand on my wrist. And then I felt like what was a head on my shoulder. And it lasted for about 30 seconds, and then it was gone. But what I found interesting during it was it was very warm. It wasn't cold. It was a very warm, loving feeling. And what's interesting about all of that was his grandmother used to do that when she was alive. So she used to lean on me, like her head on my shoulder, put her and on my wrist. So it was almost like it was her. She was saying goodbye, wanted to say goodbye to me, and then literally it was gone 30 seconds later, and never happened again. But what's another interesting thing, and to validate that something was there for my friend, because obviously he didn't believe me. During that 30 seconds, I looked to my right, and there was an actual indent in the bed.
Really?
And I told my buddy, I said, look to my right here. And or would look to, yeah, it was to my right. And I said, there's something sitting beside me, and he actually saw it. And then when it was gone, that imprint was gone. So it's really a story I love to talk about, because it was really one of my very first experiences on being touched. Now, obviously, I always saw them, but I saw them from a distance. They were never really close to me. They were always a distance. But to have that one actually touch me and have that feeling was pretty incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds about like my first ever experience. It was
really?
It was a place called Laverty Church. It's up here in West Virginia. It's on Copley Road. It's actually called St. Bernard's, but this place, I'll tell you a little bit of the backstory real quick. What it was there was a preacher here, and he ended up killing himself. He jumped off the top of the church, and this place had them little. It was one of the gates that had the spikes, like as the top of the gate post, instead of just like a regular post. It was the spikes, and apparently he landed on it. And there was another guy here named Thomas Quirk. Or no, Thomas Quirk was the preacher. This guy was John Kennedy, I believe was his name.
Okay.
And he, I guess he killed himself inside of the church. So what they did with him, instead of burying him in that cemetery, they have his tombstone on the inside of the cemetery, and you have the gate, and then his body's on the outside. So it's because I guess that was their beliefs, that something like that, we don't want you in here. Well, as Robbie there said, very haunted location. He's been there with me. And the first thing that happened to me there was, it was a group of, I'd say probably about 8 people. It was me and 7 other buddies, and we was walking around checking the place out, first time ever there. And I'd spoke up and I'd said, if there's anybody here with us, can you make your presence known? Anything at all? And I wasn't expecting nothing. I wasn't expecting anything at all, because at that time I wasn't really a believer into it.
Okay.
I was skeptic about it, like, most people are.
Yeah.
And I got into it. I said, is there anybody here with us? And at that time, all of them people were in front of me. And all of a sudden, I just felt like a tap on my shoulder. And I turn around and I'm looking. I don't see nothing. And I asked the guys if one of them maybe did it, which clearly they didn't. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. So we went on about the night. And a little while later, I'd say about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, same thing happened. Different spot. Just this time, it wasn't really a tap. It was kind of like it was a grab.
Okay.
On the shoulder. So that kind of freaked me out to begin with, because where I was skeptic about everything, and just having something like that happen, it was cool. And another fact about that place is they have one of them angel statues in the middle of the cemetery. It's got 3 different angels. With what people say is at 3 o'clock in the morning, the angel, I can't remember which side it was, I believe it is on the right if you're looking at the statue, cries tears of blood at 3 a.m. Now, I haven't been there at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I've had a lot of people tell me. I've seen pictures, and you never know what it could be. It could be like a light or something, anything like that. But it also could be what they say it was. But that was my very, very first experience I've had there at that location. Like, that was what got me into the paranormal majorly.
I'd love to take my mother's husband on an investigation with me, because he says there's an explanation for everything. It has nothing to do with paranormal. It doesn't exist.
Right.
And I'd love to take him on an investigation with me, especially to the church that I go to. It would definitely change his mind, because some of the stuff that I captured in that church is absolutely amazing. and like some incredible stuff off the SB7. Like we even captured. I took my son's friend with me because he wanted to go to this church. And there's one moment we were like, there's a main room and it has a piano in it. So we left that room, went to another room. We came back to that room. There was a book on the piano that was actually thrown off the piano when we walked into the room. And it was like stuff like that I wish he would see, that I could show him, because that would definitely make him a believer. Like, it's not too often where you walk in a room and all of a sudden a book flies off the piano.
Right, exactly.
So, it's I love bringing skeptics on an investigation with you, because sometimes what happens, as you guys know, when you bring on a skeptic, nothing may happen when they were there, but once you go through the footage and start capturing those EVPs, and then you're sending it to that skeptic and go, is that you? Is that me? No. Okay, who was it? So it's stuff like that that I find really a lot of fun. But again, at the same point, I'm not here to try to convince a skeptic that paranormal exists. I'm just here to show what I capture, and that's it. So
Yeah, well, like you mentioned about the skeptics, I find it one of the. I'm kind of like you. I'm not here to prove to everybody, but at the same time, the times that you do take a skeptic out, it's the best feeling in the world. If something happens and they're just like, "Dude, what was that?" And you're just like, "I told you, man. It's real life. It's 100% real life." And then you mentioned that piano and that book.
yeah.
Well, when you mentioned that book, that reminded me of something that's really creepy about this Loveberry Church. Real quick, they got a Bible. They had, which I've been in there before. It was like they always kept it locked, and it was weird. 3 o'clock one morning, the lights were on, the doors were open, and of course, I wandered in there, and they always said there's a Bible in there on the stool. That if you grab it and you try and go out the door with it, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier until it drops out of your hand to where you can't get it out of the door. Like, it'll get so heavy you won't be able to get out the door with it. Well, it is. When I got in there, I was like pumped up. I was excited, jumping up and down. I was like, it's about time I figure out if this is real or not. So I grabbed a book that I seen, and it looked like a Bible. And I opened it up, and there was some Bible scriptures in there, and I was all excited about it. And I kept turning, and it was Bible verses and song lyrics. And I was like, well, this ain't what it is. But I grabbed it, and I went to walk out the door with it. And of course, nothing happened, which kind of upset me. But I've heard probably, I'd say, 20 or 30 different stories of people trying to do it, and it just gets so heavy that it will just fall out of your hand. I even heard a story where somebody took a wheelbarrow in there and it broke the wheel off.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much I believe that part, but I know I've heard the stories of where it just falls out of their hands because it gets so heavy, and I'd love to see it.
Did you grab the right book though?
Well, that was the thing. That was the only book that was there, and I asked a bunch of people, and like one of the, I'd say, caretakers at the time, and they said that one of the caretakers took it out, but I heard two different stories that somebody took it out, but I also heard that somebody put it underneath one of the board planks.
So is it possible? Here's a possibility that you did have the right book, but it knew your intentions and trusted that you were going to bring it back, and that's why it didn't happen to you.
Maybe.
Wow. Yeah, that is a good point. That is an absolute good point, because if it would have known that I was going to bring it right back, because all the other people would have wandered off with it and said, look what I got, look what I got. Or they may have known that I was going to bring it back, and they just like, here, let them go with it. And that's possible now that I think of it.
There you go.
That is very possible. You got my mind blown now.
Yeah.
That's cool. And Amber agrees, apparently. So it's definitely interesting. I think if it was happening, and I think if people were doing it, they had the wrong intentions, and it knew that you had the right intentions, and probably why it didn't happen to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like for example, like I've been I've been into that church several times, like I said, and it's always been okay. They've always talked to me and they've always said stuff, and it's never been nasty. It's never ever been nasty when I walked in there. But I
Right.
walked in there with two other people that had never been there. And as soon as I walked in, I heard something. It was clear as day. I heard it, but I didn't understand what it said. So I went home and I put in the SD card from the camera, and it literally said, "Get out, assholes,"
Wow.
Really.
twice in a row. But that had never happened before.
Yeah, you've never had that negative energy
Never,
when you're there until those two
never.
people went with you.
And until I brought those two people. Now, was he saying it for both or was he saying it for one? Because there was one there with me that was I don't know if he was a skeptic or a non-believer, but I don't think he went in there with the right intentions of being open to the possibilities of this place being haunted. And maybe they knew that and they were offended by it. And and that's why they said it. But I'd never ever experienced that when, like, I went there with Jay, and I went there with somebody else, and it never happened before until I brought these two.
Yeah, that's definitely that. Yeah, they probably knew right then and there because they knew, like you were saying with me, they knew your intentions were good,
Yeah.
and they had somebody coming in that's possibly a skeptic and maybe somebody that they don't like. You never know.
Or somebody who's actually going to take the book,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
there's always a possibility. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool though. It's a great story. But as as we all know, the telephone, I call it the telephone game. That
Yeah.
it's like when you sit in a circle and you tell a story, and by the time it gets to the other side, it's changed like 15 times.
Yep.
That's possibly could have what's happened here with this story, and
Right.
it was one person that had an issue. Now 15 other people had the same issue. You know what I mean? So not necessarily those 15 other people existed.
Yeah.
It's just the story just got embellished more and more and more. Like I
Right.
think with Bobby Mackey's, perfect example. Bobby Mackey's, I really think has been embellished, to be honest. And with all the investigators going in there, and this is the problem with the investigators that are faking their evidence. People go, "Oh, well, I saw this video and there was like this amazing demon. Apparently, it was caught there." Now people are going in there thinking, "Okay, well, I'm going to catch a demon." No,
Yep.
it's unfortunate, and that is the sad side of our industry. The fakers, and they don't make it easy for us. That's for sure.
They absolutely don't, because that is one of the worst things there is, because like you said, you got that portion where they say, like, they could be in this location that nobody's ever heard of in their life, and they say, I seen a big black mass demon right here. Then you have 4 or 5 other 100 people coming to this location not getting a single thing of what they said. And then you got people like that are coming towards us, like if we've ever went to something like that and saying, "Oh, you guys are fake, this has never happened," stuff like that. You got all these fakers coming into the industry, like, all these TV shows like Ghost Adventures, all that good stuff. Not a
Yeah,
fan of that show anyway, because all they do is torment the spirits.
yeah.
And
Hey, listen, I know some paranormal investigators that are not to that caliber and are causing problems when they go into location. I saw one team that they were provoking. They were provoking like really, really badly. And this is when it got like really stupid. Like it got really stupid at this point, that before it was provoking, and then all of a sudden there was a woman that was sitting in I'm not sure if she was in a wheelchair or a chair, but you could tell that it was fake, that she was thrown from the wheelchair or the chair or whatever she was sitting in, and you could tell that she made herself fall.
right.
But then they started yelling at "How dare you tip over my wife? She's in I'm pretty sure she was in a wheelchair, and she's in a wheelchair," and it was ridiculous. And so there are a lot of ones out there that are not well known, don't have millions of followers on YouTube that are out there faking as well because they're trying to get well known.
See, that's one thing right there is like with us, me and my brother, how we started our team with great advice from this one feller that I still talk to this day, hang out with, go see. He taught us everything we know. Um, we'd like to be up there to where some people know us, but we're going to do it legit. We're not going to go in and fake everything, whether it takes us 5 years or 30 years. It don't matter because we want to do it legitly. We want to be out there legit. We want people to know these guys are actually true to what they say.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I know some teams that are really, really popular on YouTube now. They got hundreds of thousands of followers that went in with the same intentions of not doing everything legit and doing really well. Fortunately for them, and unfortunately, they had one video that went viral and put them over the top. And the problem with YouTube is once you have that video that's gone viral, you got to continue putting out videos like that, if not better, to keep the momentum going. Because if the momentum slides, then your channel's going to slide.
And everybody that was watching you sliding.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the perfect group for that. Like, there was a time at the beginning when I was watching them. I was watching their video every so often, and that's Twin Paranormal. They were a fantastic group at the beginning. One of their videos went viral, and now all they're doing is faking videos now, and which is really unfortunate. But they're making a lot of money, but they lost all their integrity.
Right, and that's that. Once that money comes in the picture, that's when everything else goes out the window.
Everything disappears. Looks like we lost AJ again. Yeah, I think he keeps on hitting the button and it keeps on logging him out.
He may be. It's hard to tell.
Because I saw him reach for the phone, and then as soon as that happened, he disappeared.
Right.
So there's a question for you. How do you feel about the aliens in the mall in Miami?
I haven't even seen anything about that.
Really? You haven't seen about the mall in Miami?
No, the last thing I seen was something about that might have been what I seen. I seen something about in a mall.
Or are you thinking about? You might be thinking about the one in Las Vegas that happened a few years ago, where the guy saw the alien in Las Vegas and it was in his backyard.
No, it wasn't that one. It might have been this one.
It's all over YouTube. You know what? I'll be honest. I don't know. Who knows? Who really knows about the alien in Miami? It might have happened.
I don't believe that it's aliens. I believe that it's interdimensional beings. Because think about this. When we have a spirit box session, who do we know if we're really not talking to interdimensional beings and not spirits? Who's to say? Think about it.
Well, here's an interesting. You had that. I forget who that guy's name was that you had on your show with Talking with the Source, AJ, and he captured an apparition walking by. He also captured an apparition far away. Yeah, Tony Ferguson, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you know the one that he showed with the apparition that was walking by, like at the bottom of the screen. I swear to God, that looked like an alien.
Mm-hmm.
So my theory was, is it possible that aliens can be invisible?
I 100% believe it.
Yep. I would believe that.
Yeah, because that camera looked like it captured an alien walking by. Because it didn't look like a person.
No.
Well, I'll tell you my theory on it. I want to believe, like I definitely 100% believe in the paranormal, but I want to believe in Bigfoot, aliens, everything, cryptics. I want to, but until I would see something myself, I don't think I'll be able to. I want to 100% believe in it, but until I see something, I've heard things in the woods before, but I mean, you can explain stuff like that. But if I would ever,
wild squirrel.
Yeah, just making weird noises or something. You never know.
Yeah, like there was some that I saw today. I was looking through my timeline today, and somebody captured a Bigfoot, and they're actually really, really good pictures.
Really?
There's one from a distance, but then there's one a little bit closer. I saw it on my timeline today,
Yeah,
and it
look legit.
it looked legit. It
I know what
really
you're
looked
talking about.
legit.
I
Yeah,
know what
did you
you're
see?
talking about.
There was
Yeah,
3 of them. There were
Yeah,
3
I
of them.
haven't seen it.
Yeah. And one was really, really far away, and that just looked like a top of a bush or something like that. But the one that was really, really super close, that was on the other side of the river, that I don't know. It looked, but again, this is the thing. It always puzzles me when people catch them. Why are the pictures always so pixelated?
Exactly. Exactly, dude.
Like, I don't get it. Like, our phone cameras are probably the best cameras in the world when it comes
So,
to regular cameras compared to phone cameras. Some
yep,
of them are even better than regular cameras, and yet
exactly.
it's still pixelated picture.
Just like with UFOs. When you see
Yeah,
pictures of those, they're so pixelated. It's like, dude, what is that? Is it a speck on your screen or a ladybug?
yeah, it's crazy.
funny.
But no, the Miami stuff, I don't know. I'd really have to. Now, apparently, somebody did take a shot from above.
Yeah,
That was down, like, but I think they were in a helicopter or something like that.
yeah,
During the riots there, or during whatever was happening there. But it was really, really super far away, and it's really, really hard to tell if that was an alien or somebody just, running down the street naked, for God's sakes.
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
It's
was,
Miami, so who knows?
exactly.
well,
It's
yeah, that's true. That's very
You
true.
know?
Anything
yeah.
can
You
happen.
always you always see stuff. Florida guy, Florida guy, Florida guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I've been to Florida so often. It's some of the stuff that I've seen in Florida is pretty crazy.
Oh
I
yeah.
even I even seen one for Florida one time. It was a long time ago. It said man claims to be molested by 300-pound beaver, and I'm just like, dude, really? It
Only
said,
in Florida.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
that's a pretty wild story.
that
Yeah.
is.
Being
It even had a whole paragraph for
molested.
Something you see in the Enquirer.
it. Yeah,
You know.
That's
But
hilarious.
thank you
But
so much, Brian. I appreciate you coming
yeah,
on today.
yeah, no worries. I got,
Yeah.
I will say this. I gotta do another podcast on Thursday,
Yeah.
and this the Thursday one is going to be really cool because I'm going to be in studio
Ooh.
for this podcast. It's called the mug talks.
Oh, I know that. I know that podcast.
Yeah, I'm being interviewed with them on Thursday, 7:30.
Awesome.
So that's
Awesome.
cool. So they invited me to their studio, and then
Cool.
I'm going to be on with the Rev on, I believe, Friday as well
Awesome.
on
Awesome.
Parapost.
definitely be watching that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I really appreciate you guys having me up. I'm sorry I was late.
Oh
Oh,
no, it's no big deal, brother. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, it's so much. There's so much more to talk about too. You guys only got to ask me like 3 questions.
I
well,
know.
you talk too damn much.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I'm
you
just
rambled on for hours.
oh, geez.
I'm sorry.
No,
But
that's
you
all
know
right.
what?
This will be
Can
part
I be?
one.
You know what? Can I be honest? Like, I know, and this has happened on so many other podcasts where they've asked like 2 or 3 questions and the show's gone by like that. It's
Yeah.
just, AJ, and Dylan, you're gonna, if you don't know by now, you'll eventually find out. My passion for the paranormal is so big
Yeah.
that I could go on. We can do this for another 2 or 3 hours, and
Yeah.
there won't be a silent moment in the show.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you say that, and I mean, I feel the exact same way. But also, if you'd be willing, I'd also like to have you back on. We could talk some more.
Yeah, I'd love that, man. I really love that. I enjoy your show. I know I think this is what, your 4th or 3rd or 4th show.
Third, I think. Third.
Yeah,
Third, I believe.
you keep doing what you're doing, man. You're gonna do well. Keep
I
doing what you're
appreciate
doing,
that,
buddy.
brother.
I love you. I love you both, and I really appreciate you having me on. And definitely will come back anytime. Just let me know, and I'm here.
Sweet.
Cool. Thank you,
Okay.
brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, my man. Well, we will talk to you soon. Appreciate you for coming on. And before you go, let everyone know where they can find you at and where they can see you. Come on, you know it.
That's a
Let's do it.
loaded question. Well, you can check out my videos on Paraflix. And I don't say this enough, but if you go to Paraflix and you sign up for Paraflix, just punch in the promo code Huntophobia, and you can get a discount on Paraflix. I believe for the first year, I think it's 25% off, something along that lines.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but you do get a percentage off for the first year, and I think it comes out to like $1.99 in the States. It's a little more in Canada because of the exchange. But you can find me on Paraflix. You can find me on YouTube. If you're interested in the Global Ghost Hunt, go over to the Global Ghost Hunt and check it out. But if you are interested in the Global Ghost Hunt right now, because we are having an issue with the payment page on the site, contact us. We'll send you the link. You'll go through everything and just do it that way and send it to us, and we'll get you started on the Global Ghost Hunt. You can also find me on Sunday nights with AJ with crime documentaries. And then my other show's coming back, Through the Lens. That will be coming back soon. And I believe I'm going to be co-hosting another show.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm going to be co-hosting another show that's starting either this week or next week. It's it's with Kevin.
Cool.
But he's going to be doing different interviews. He's going to be interviewing sports figures.
Oh, cool.
And people like that. Like I believe the first person that's coming on is well, I won't say the name, but he was an NFL player. And he played with Joe Montana, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Dude, I can barely do one. You're over here doing 100 of them.
Yeah, so he's apparently he was his center for Joe Montana.
Wow.
So apparently he's going to be one of the first guests. He's going to have fighters, boxers, hockey players, and all those things. Cool. So I'm going to be co-hosting with him as well. Not as often, like not every show, maybe every once in a while, but yeah. And then obviously you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok through Huntophobia, and Instagram, Twitter, X, and all those places. So yeah, just look up for Huntophobia.
Well, we'll definitely be doing that, brother. We appreciate you coming on, man. I'm looking forward to having you on again, for sure.
Thank you. And maybe this time I'll bring clips.
There we go.
Sweet. Yeah.
There you go. Cool.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Sounds like cool. Thanks, guys.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, brother.
Later, brother.
Thank you.
So, man, what an awesome show, dude. I had to let you take it over. My pizza ended up showing up in the middle of it. So the guy's knocking on the door. I'm like, oh, no. No, man, great show. What'd you think?
I loved it, dude. Like, I've loved all of them, but definitely this show and the previous show were pretty great. 100%. Like, all of them were amazing. And I mean, like I said before, I can't thank you enough, brother, for helping me out.
No worries, dude. No worries, of course. Well, everyone, make sure to check out Halfway Paranormal Podcast every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is AJ Capasso, special co-host. Go ahead and finish.
And I'm Dylan Robinson, main host right here.
And where else can they find Halfway Paranormal, brother?
You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on TikTok. Find us on YouTube. Not too much on YouTube right now, but we're working on it. And, of course, you can also find us on Parapost.
There you go. So you heard it first. So until next week, we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.